What if I told you you can build wealth, upgrade your living situation, and grow a real estate portfolio, all while living in your own home? Today, I'm gonna break down for you a very simple yet very powerful strategy called house hacking. Hi, welcome to Invest with Jim, the channel where you'll find real estate and investing information that no one else is sharing with you. Don't forget to hit the like button and share this video if you find it helpful. So what is house hacking? Essentially, it's a strategy where you buy a home, live in it as a primary residence, and then turn it into an investment property. Step one, buy your first home. Find a primary residence that you can afford. Ideally, one with future potential that generates rental income. I've worked with a lot of first-time home buyers before, and the one thing that I always advise is, you have to stick to something that is affordable. A lot of times people fund everything on their first house. Your first home does not have to be your dream home, nor should it be your dream home, right? It's your starter home. This is where you're starting. So you have to be okay with the idea that after a few years, I'm ready to move on from this property. So don't be too emotionally attached. That just helps you start so you can get to that dream home in the future. You want things that are gonna not cost you too much money, all right? So maybe look for things with lower HOAs perhaps. Maybe look for a location that is convenient, so once you've moved on, maybe it's a great rental property. I see a lot of people moving really far in the outskirts of town just because they can get more for their money there. If it's too far and remote, it may not be a good rental property in the future. Sometimes people want to buy new construction homes. Just realize that because you're paying a premium for a new build, it might take you a few more years to get to a more positive equity position just because you need to catch up to the market a little more when you buy new. When you buy a primary home, one of the key benefits of this is you can qualify for a mortgage that requires a much lower down payment. For example, an FHA loan only requires 3.5% down. If you go the conventional route, there are conventional mortgages that only require 3% down. If you were to buy an investment property, it's going to require you to put 20% down at least. So that's a huge benefit right there. If you can get away with putting 3 or 3.5% down versus 20% down, that's a lot less capital you need to get started. So step two is to live in the home for a few years. So while you're living in the home, you're paying down the mortgage. Your principal balance is going down every month you live there. And that's helping you build more equity in the home, and you're educating yourself on home ownership. So while you're living in this first home, you have to be sure that you're still saving money while maintaining this property. You want to live in this home for at least 2 years, and then you're ready for step three, which is buying your next property. Why the 2-year period? The 2-year period is because there is a tax exemption for when you sell a primary home. If you live in the property for at least 2 of the last 5 years and you sell your primary home, you are exempt from capital gains taxes. So what does that mean? Let's say you buy a house for $400K and by the time you're ready to sell it, you sell it for $600K, all right? Well, that $200,000 that you made is now tax exempt, or basically you don't pay taxes on it. The limits are, if you're an individual, it's $250,000, and if you're a married couple, that is $500K that you can make off selling your primary home and not owe any taxes on those gains. There's very few things that you can make so much money and not pay any taxes on it, all right? So you should be taking advantage of this. Here's a second option for you. What if you're doing really well and you saved a lot of money and you're ready to upgrade your home? Well, what you can do is keep the first house as a rental property now. And there's a lot of benefits to it too, because when you have a mortgage for your primary home, you're probably going to have a lower interest rate on it as well too. And you've built in equity on it already too, and hopefully your payment is lower what the rent would be that you would be collecting on it. So you can actually use that positive cash flow to help you qualify to buy the next bigger property even. If you don't have to sell the property, you can keep it as a rental and you can upgrade. It's very powerful for you. So when it's time for you to make this decision, be sure to consult your trusted real estate advisor. And if you need one, I know somebody for you. So step 4 is basically just repeat this process. So if you're the guy that had to sell the first house to get the next house, that's okay. Hopefully by the next time you're ready to maybe save one of these houses and start building your portfolio. There's other options you can do with this too. I mean, if you were to say sell your primary home and made a bunch of money on the equity, saving money on capital gains taxes and everything like that, and you have enough to put as a down payment for your next primary home and have some money left, then maybe you buy another little starter property where where you use that as a rental as well too. But the thing is, pick and choose when it makes sense, right? If it makes sense to take the money off the table, do that. But if you're in the position where you can keep these properties and keep building your real estate portfolio of rental properties, then do that too. So this strategy is pretty simple. It's not a whole lot to it, but what's important is what you do. Are you disciplined? You can't just buy one house and say, I'm gonna be rich now. You have to stay disciplined. You have to keep saving money so you can do future investments, keep your credit in good shape so you can qualify for mortgages. And then most importantly, say you get income that's like 1099 or you're like a gig worker or something like that. Don't write off too many expenses, because if you make 150,000, but you write off all of it except 20,000, it's gonna be hard for you to qualify for mortgages in the future, all right? So just be mindful of these things, or it's not a get rich quick thing. It's a long-term strategy to build long-term wealth. But if this is a strategy that you wanna try, let me know in the comments. Or if you've done something similar for yourself, I would love to hear how it worked out for you. One of the best things about house hacking is how accessible it is. And this is for people that have careers or have jobs. It's not like you have to quit that and become a full-time real estate investor. You keep working your job, you keep saving money, your income is going to keep growing, which is going to give you more buying power. As you start collecting these rental properties, the income that you get from the rental properties start adding up to your income as well, which helps you qualify to then buy more houses even. And that's how it works. The hardest thing to do is just starting, really. I like to talk about things that I've actually done myself. So this is how I started. My very first property, I purchased it, I think it was like 150. I sold it for like 250, boom, 100K, all right? I was not in the position to just not sell it and buy another one yet. So what I did though was sold that first property. I used some of the money that I made as a down payment for my next property. I had some money already to work with on the next one, right? And this is the point where I started keeping properties. As things started progressing for me, I started saving more money still. I was able to keep that property and then buy another property. So that's kind of how I first got my first rental property. Is basically it was my old primary home. And then throughout the years, I've done a combination of these things. If it was a property that I thought was a good property that I wanted to keep long-term in my portfolio, I would definitely keep it, and I kept it as a rental. There were some properties that were kind of bigger, or the location wasn't that great, or something about it. That's when I would just sell it, take the money off the table, take advantage of the capital gains thing, and then keep rolling it into other ones, right? But you decide what's best for you, all right? And I want to be sure to point out to you, you know, the first few rental properties that I had, I mean, I was not making like crazy amounts of income on it right away. I mean, I was kind of breaking even for the most part for a lot of these properties in the first several years. Rent started going up, my equity position started getting better. That's when things started getting really good. This is not a overnight thing. It takes time, it takes discipline, and it all adds up after a while. If you found this video helpful, subscribe to my channel for more real estate tips and strategies. And feel free to drop your questions in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.